Hello, welcome to the Tuesday TNT, checking out all the main stories from around Thailand. Again, coming to you from a working cafe called Chip Fair Lele. And even here early in the morning, people popping in and grabbing a cake and coffee, including one of our customers who's been at the beach house for the past 3 or 4 days. Now, we got a message overnight from Clarence Farmer. And he asked the question, Tim, have you heard anything about the 90-day visa? Thank you for your time and consideration. Good day. Now, he's talking about the 90-day visa exemption, which would be, for many people, an extension from the 30-day visa exemption. And a lot of people have been wanting to know the latest on this. There was talk that it was going to be going to Cabinet last week. We heard nothing since. However, I feel something in my waters, and I suspect we might hear something in the next day or so. I have no reason for saying that, except I've got a feeling that something's about to happen, but really I don't know. So the answer is basically no. Let's wait and see. As soon as it happens, I certainly will announce it. Now, we also had a lot of reaction to yesterday's story about the poor German gentleman travelling on a Lufthansa plane from Bangkok back to Germany, who didn't get very far before he expired in it seems somewhat of an explosion of blood, and it was apparently quite horrific on the flight. A lot of reporting about that, and I did spend some time this morning trying to find out any further information about what exactly might have caused this gentleman's sad demise. Thank heavens we've got a lot of doctors watching the program, because no end of people were speculating exactly what had happened to the man, given the scant information we had. But this particular publication just went that extra mile. And this is from SK Pop, which is short for spotkeda.com. The zombie apocalypse is here. Ebola claim sparks concern as Lufthansa flight passenger dies after litres of blood spurt. The 63-year-old Lufthansa passenger died on board after losing litres of blood. The unidentified man was flying from Bangkok to Munich with his wife on February the 8th. Resuscitation efforts were made. However, he unfortunately passed away during the trip. After hearing about the occurrence, many took to the internet and to our comments section to speculate that he likely suffered from the infectious Ebola disease. One person saying the zombie apocalypse is here. It's not, by the way. As the incident gained traction online, netizens speculated that he'd likely passed away from Ebola. Sounds similar to Ebola, maybe something they've bioengineered. And then another one, sounds like Ebola, and so that continued throughout the article. And it's worth noting, says the article, that netizens are purely speculating what might have happened to the man. No one knows. Simple as that. And the exact cause of death was not made public at the time of writing of this article, and not since, as far as I can see. So just pure fanciful speculation. But of course, if it bleeds, it leads, and it was one of those stories that was very dramatic and has made its way around the world, but extremely unlikely out of all the possibilities that he'd contracted Ebola. So let's move on to another story, and this has been making its way through Thai social media. It wasn't really of that much interest, I would have thought, to a foreign audience, but it's starting to get a little bit more interesting. We go to bangkokpost.com. Royal Motorcade honkers will be charged, according to the police chief. Now, just if you don't know, if you do come and live in Thailand for any time, especially in places like Bangkok, for example, maybe even Hua Hin, where there's a royal residence, and other places like Phuket and Pattaya, where members of the royal family may visit from time to time. If there's a motorcade, like from the airport to their accommodation, they close off the roads so that the motorcade, which would include not only the car for the royal family members, but also all the sort of peripheral security people, other people who may be tending to them, looking after them, and advisors, etc., could be up to 20 cars, would then traverse that particular passage of road, usually at a bit of a clip, I might add. But I've seen this, I don't know, over the years in Bangkok and Phuket, maybe 15, 20 times where I've been asked to pull over or not enter a particular patch of road. And if it's a 10-kilometre stretch of road, for example, they might have police every 100 metres, stopping people from entering the road and stopping people coming down the road. So you might have to wait up to half an hour, even more, for one of these Royal Motorcades. I'm not making any comment as to whether they're a good or a bad thing. It's just that that's what happens here in Thailand. But last week, it looks like some protesters decided they'd honk their horn on their car as the Royals passed, and it's been taken very seriously. And the people who honked and tried to cut in on a Royal Motorcade earlier this month will be formally charged later this week, according to the National Police Chief. And members of the Taluwang, which means breaking into palace group, allegedly attempted to interrupt the motorcade of Her Royal Highness Princess Mahashakri Sirindorn on an expressway in Bangkok, honking their car horn and trying to cut into the middle of it. And the 20-year-old is a seasoned campaigner against Royal Motorcades and the disruption they cause. And she was arrested a couple of years ago on charges of violating Section 112. That's the lèse majesté law of the Criminal Code, by running an opinion poll on Facebook on Royal Motorcades and making a live broadcast on the topic on March the 5th. And other key figures of the group also face charges under Section 112. And then back in February 2022, she also led an activity in front of Siam Paragon Shopping Centre seeking people's opinions on the subject, which resulted in her being charged with defaming the monarchy. And the National Police Chief says there will be charges and arrest warrants. There will definitely be arrests. And he said the protection of the Royal Institution was the first and foremost task of police. And I won't say anything in addition to that comment. Now we go to this response from the Prime Minister in nationthailand.com. No question of downscaling Royal Motorcades, according to the Prime Minister, as he orders tighter security. And the Prime Minister, Srettha Thavisin, said he has instructed the National Police and the National Intelligence Agency to tighten security for Royal Motorcades. This was in response to an incident involving an anti-monarchy group on February the 4th. And he said no one should support the group because Royal Motorcades are only provided when members of the royal family have official activities. Yeah, if you think about it, there's heads of state of other countries who would also have a similar type of motorcade with a lot of security, and in many cases, the other roads closed down. As for the Taluwang group's plans to hold more rallies to gather public opinion on Royal Motorcades, Srettha said they should refrain from doing so and leave the matter to be discussed in Parliament. So although the Prime Minister and the Pertai government were supporting possible changes and amendments to Section 112 during the election campaign, he certainly seems to have changed his tune, which leads to rather concerning stories like this. Also reported in BangkokPost.com, journalist arrested for reporting protest graffiti. And a Thai journalist has found himself in custody yesterday following his coverage of a graffiti incident as reported by his employer and a legal advocacy organisation. This is according to AFP. And according to Prachatai, an online publication known for its independent stance, their journalist was apprehended under allegation of being an accomplice in the defacement of a significant monument. And the incident under scrutiny traces back to last March when an individual spray-painted an anarchist symbol alongside the number 112 with a line drawn through it on the exterior wall of Bangkok's Temple of the Emerald Buddha. A story which we reported at the time. And Prachatai, through a statement on social media, reiterated that their journalist was one of several journalists present at the scene, solely there to fulfil his journalistic duty. And the editor of Prachatai emphasised to AFP that the journalist was there to report the news. And Thai Lawyers for Human Rights, an organisation known for its involvement in lèse majesté cases, affirmed that the journalist was detained on suspicion of complicity in the vandalism of a historic site. The implication there, perhaps, that he was given forewarning that that incident might happen. It happens very often when there's some sort of protest or announcement to be made. Journalists are invited to come along. Was that forewarning enough for him to be charged under the lèse majesté laws? And a big thanks to our sponsor, 5-Star Marine at 5starmarinephuket.com. Even a link in the description below under this video if you'd like a special deal for TNT viewers. I'd certainly like to be out on the water today. Another beautiful day, even clean air, fresh air down here in the south of Thailand. Go to our next story, thaipbsworld.com. Volunteer killed, 4 injured in roadside explosion in Narathiwat. This is part of that ongoing southern insurgency that's certainly been peaking during the past 2 or so decades. And a defence volunteer was killed and 4 others were injured in a roadside explosion in Janai district of Thailand's southernmost province of Narathiwat yesterday. And the incident occurred just a few days after peace talks between the government and the Barisan Revolusi Nasional insurgent group resumed in Kuala Lumpur. And according to the Janai District Police, the 5 defence volunteers were travelling in an armoured pickup truck as the vehicle was travelling along Road 4217. Insurgents hiding in roadside bushes detonated an IED hidden under the road. And the powerful explosion flipped the truck onto its side and killed the driver instantly. These are the sort of tactics used quite often by the terrorists down there in the very south of Thailand. Another incident and another death in the southern insurgency. As we go to this story also in thaipbsworld.com, 5 immigration officers jailed for 15 years each for extortion, and 5 immigration police officers were sentenced to 15 years in prison after they were found guilty of extorting 10 million baht from a Chinese businessman in exchange for dropping a charge against him. And just a bit of background to this. According to the prosecutor's charge, the 5 immigration officers arrested the Chinese businessman at his residence March the 10th last year on a charge of using a fake Thai ID card. The Chinese man and his Thai girlfriend were taken to a vehicle which then took them to several places other than the immigration office. And while driving around, the officers demanded 10 million baht from the businessman in exchange for dropping the charge. And the businessman agreed to the deal and sent digital money to one of the officers before both of them were released. The Thai woman later filed a police complaint against the 5 immigration officers and Surachai. So it looks like the 5 of them going to be spending 15 years in jail each. To this story, and we go to the airport now in Bangkok. Suvarnabhumi Airport boosts capacity with a new runway, which would make it a total of 3. And the Transport Minister has revealed that Suvarnabhumi Airport operational capacity is expecting significant increase with the anticipated completion of its 3rd runway in July. And the expansion is expected to elevate the airport's flight handling capacity from 67 flights per hour to 94, a crucial step towards bolstering Thailand's status as a key aviation hub in the region. The 3rd runway, located to the east of the current runways, will come with its own passenger terminal and other airport facilities. The airport recently celebrated the opening of Satellite 1 passenger terminal, and that's got 13 airlines currently operating from the new building. So we're seeing Suvarnabhumi grow very quickly, a 3rd runway on the way. And just for a bit of humour at the end of the program today, we go to BangkokPost.com. BMA considers 50 kilometres per hour limit. The Bangkok Metropolitan Administration is asking police to impose a 50 kilometre an hour speed limit on 40 roads in inner Bangkok and around major residential areas. Well, that's just hugely funny because speed limit signs around Bangkok and Thailand are routinely abused and ignored. So they'll just be wasting their money by changing the speed limit. And with that, I thank you very much for watching today. Hopefully you're a bit more up to date with things happening around Thailand. We look forward to your comments. Please subscribe to the channel, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow.